Morning committee, it's Friday morning and things are, week's almost over. And this is the agricultural committee and April 26th. And so this morning, we're going to be running over like to repair. What is that, H81? Is it an H or an S?
The H.
Oh. Yeah, we wouldn't put out anything about that out of here. But anyway, we'll introduce ourselves and then we'll get Rick going with our changes. And, if you guys have any suggestive changes to that, speak up as we're poking through it. So,
Yeah, Brian Collmore representing the Rutland County District.
Brian Campion, County. See everybody.
Rich Wesley for Lemoyle. We didn't need another Brian.
no, but we got it.
We got two, three.
And Bobby Star from Orleans County. We have with us this morning legislative draftman in regards to H81. We've made quite a few changes, I think, to the bill. And so I guess, Rick, and I gave you some other changes yesterday. And I don't know if there's any others, but why don't we kind of go through it and you can highlight the changes and go from there.
All right. Well, good morning. Rick Sagal, Office of Legislative Counsel. So you have draft 3.3, which actually is not that different from 3.1, only a couple of changes. But since you all have received it, there have been changes. The version that passed the House, there's some differences from H81. But certainly 3.3 and 3.1 are not that different. I'll go over the few differences that we've made. Let me share my screen here. Now, Mr. Chair, do you want me to read through this again, the findings, or do you want me to skip ahead to the changes?
Yeah, I'm doing the findings.
I think we found,
That cut the bill down by 2 pages.
I don't want to read them this one.
I move to cut these 2 pages.
I don't know.
I'm not accepting,
I always get ignored.
All right, well, then we can really skip ahead to page 5.
Yeah.
Because there were no changes. Page 5, line 7. Last time we discussed the principally solely language, and there's been a suggestion, and I'm going to give you that suggestion. So agricultural equipment, or in that first definition here, means a device, part of a device, or an attachment to a device used principally off-road and designed solely for an agricultural purpose, and the rest of it's the same. So I think the intention here is that these equipments may be used off-road or used on-road occasionally for travel, but they're designed for agricultural uses. So I think this helps kind of avoid certain equipment that the dealers, manufacturers don't want included in the right to repair, but is meant to protect agricultural equipment specifically.
Yeah, well, that's why we're asked for the change.
Yes. Then also for forestry equipment on page 6, line 9. Forestry equipment means non-divisible equipment, implements, accessories, and contrivances. Again, used principally off-road and designed solely for harvesting timber or for on-site processing of wood forest products necessary to and associated with logging operations, same thing as agriculture equipment. So I
Yeah,
don't have a problem with it.
that was because of the clam loaders that are sometimes on them here.
And the only other change, Mr. Chair, is the MOU language. There is a suggestion to use Colorado's language. So at the very end, on page 12, this is a suggestion. Committee can discuss it. So line 8 on page 12. If an original equipment manufacturer is a party to a memorandum of understanding, the original equipment manufacturer is still obligated to meet the requirements established in this chapter, and the memorandum of understanding may be used subject to the provisions set forth in this chapter to establish the processes and procedures for an independent repair provider or owner to repair agricultural or forestry equipment. So to kind of explain, this version makes it clear that this is still in effect. That once this, and by the way, it's January 1st, 2026 is the current date. So once this goes into effect, the intention is this is a consumer option. They can use this bill to enforce the right of repair. However, it also recognizes that the MOUs exist and can be used to establish, more specific guidelines for the right to repair. So that's my attempt at combining Colorado's language with our language. It's more consumer friendly.
I like,
It's more consumer friendly. The previous one, the MOU, was the first, line of defense.
When did we talk about changing this?
yes,
I'm going to say it's late last time we walked through it, yeah. So we have, again, this is an option. You all can consider, I have the other language too, we can look at and compare the two.
You got it with you?
I have it, I can show off the screen, yeah. You want to look at the other one? Sure.
As do you guys remember doing this?
I remember talking about it, but I don't think we came to a conclusion.
Solution.
Yeah, it's not meant to be, it's a suggestion. It's not
You
meant to be,
just threw it in.
yes.
well, I was
Is there
happy with it,
anything else in?
No,
Just check.
no, that's all I threw.
I requested that we see it drafted.
Yeah, there was.
It was really long, right, the Colorado language was
Yes.
this really big block,
Yeah.
so I like that you got it down to some big energy.
So this is what was in it, the MOU language. This chapter shall not apply to an original equipment manufacturer that has entered into a memorandum of understanding that substantially incorporates the provisions of this chapter. In the event that a memorandum of understanding expires or is terminated, withdrawn, or canceled, the original equipment manufacturer shall be required to comply with all provisions of this chapter no later than 30 days upon such termination, withdrawal, cancellation, or expiration. So this lets the MOU kind of be that first, I call it the line of defense for the consumer, but the MOU would be there and the act would not apply unless there's not a substantial incorporation
Yeah,
of the.
but if there was no MOU, we wouldn't even be talking about this issue.
Right, this language wouldn't be there. Right, there would be no.
There would be no link, so.
Right.
You know.
I think the more, I'll give you my opinion, then you guys can put I started thinking about it. If you use this language, the problem is substantially incorporates, it's gonna bring up some questions. And if a dealer says, we believe that our MOU substantially incorporates this act that Vermont has passed, there could be a disagreement, and then you're gonna have litigation, or then you're gonna have the
Where's the disagreement gonna come from?
Well, hypothetically, right, if the dealer says, we believe the MOU substantially incorporates what this bill does, then we're just gonna use the MOU language, we're not gonna use the bill that Vermont passed. So this adds a little bit of, not confusion, but a little bit of potential lack of clarity as to, what the consumer can do.
I don't, I guess. The only reason we're even doing this bill is because the MOU was put forth by Farm Bureau and the manufacturers are more manufacturers than the dealers, by combo and that new language, I can't see I think that's opening the door up to. Is there litigation involved there? I mean, just says, well, you're in the right repair, whether we have an MOU or not, basically, right?
Well, I don't. This this language on the screen you see here gives more deference to the MOUs. And it
Well,
says,
it says 30 days, right?
right,
And after that, you're kind of on your own.
right. From the consumer perspective, if you're looking at this and you need help, and the manufacturer is not assisting you, this would make it a little bit harder for the consumer potentially to get that assistance quicker with this language. That's the difference. The other language, the consumer has, this is actionable. This is my right to repair. With this language, you have a little bit that 30 days, you have a little bit of potential confusion. So again, this is more like Colorado's, the version I read you earlier. This is more like this is what we had previously. So just giving you two options to consider and
Right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Rick, on page 12.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at 8, 9, 10, and 11, those 4 lines. To me, and again, I'm not a lawyer, this obviates the need for an MOU because it says basically the original equipment manufacturer has to meet the requirements of this chapter. So if that's true, what's the point of having an MOU anymore?
which line are you on? Page 12.
I'm very comfortable with what we had originally.
So yeah, right. This is hard because we have really never done this in our statutes where we have an MOU like share power with a Vermont law. So this is a very difficult dance. And the version in that you're looking at makes it clear that Vermont law supersedes the MOU, which it probably does anyway. That's the thing. Like MOUs are not contracts; they're not legally enforceable. So either we be honest about it and say this is what it is, or we do a dance and say, well, the MOU, is effective, but if it's not, then the Vermont law. So you're right that language is clear.
I mean,
Yeah.
it stripes.
Yeah.
An MOU, basically. That's why I like our original language, which puts that first.
Right.
Well, I mean, would we be doing this if
No.
it wasn't for the MOU? I doubt it. And Irene?
I think we might be doing this if we didn't have MOUs because there's a national push to allow people to repair things. I think the only reason there are MOUs is because there has been a groundswell of people saying we need the right to repair. The industry stepped in and said, no, you don't, you just need an MOU with us, but unfortunately, not every manufacturer has provided an MOU, and therefore I think we do need this language, but I think the originator of this whole process is probably the grassroots drive to repair our own equipment, but I'm open to correction on that.
I mean, I'm just a legal guy. I don't have the policy, I don't.
The,
I think Colorado has a law, not because you have an
That's
MOU, right, but
big
because,
states, Irene, it's not a
Well, we like to be upfront.
swell countrywide, I mean,
well, they have trouble getting to their legislators maybe, but I think farmers themselves may be feeling frustrated. It doesn't mean they can be heard in the halls of power like in Vermont. I mean, we hear our people in a way that not everybody does.
how many farmers have you actually, no, you don't, that's an unfair question.
Well, I have heard farmers.
I live in the farming area.
Okay, so do I. I'm in Milton and Fairfax, there's a lot of farm folks going.
One,
Okay.
and how did that person get to me? It was through the House rep that's pushing the bill. And why is the House member pushing the bill? To get in the newspapers and, be doing something, very important down there. And yeah, I was thinking last night, we really wanted to do something important. We'd do right to repair and fund. And lump it all together, let it fly
And this is the second part of what you said. We would do right to repair on what?
and fun.
And farm.
He means right to farm.
Right.
No,
Oh.
well, right to repair
Yeah.
and burn.
All right, well, let's talk about that if you want, but I feel like we haven't spent a lot of time to write to farm this.
Um,
I'm good to go.
Great idea.
Well,
Let me just draft something.
I was thinking last night, I said,
Bill
well,
of Rights.
we're gonna give and give a little more. Why not get a little something that's actually a benefit
Sure, well,
to the farmer?
sure, well,
And,
I think this is, but
So anyway, but that's my,
we had that language still from last year, right? We could.
Somewhere.
but anyway, Rick, go ahead.
Well, so do we have it put in the old language that, okay, I will put in the language that was there previously, no problem.
What do you guys say? Right?
Yeah, I think returning to what we had makes the most sense at this point to me.
Well, it's getting late. Rick?
Right,
Refinement, what we had.
Yeah, okay.
okay, see, voila, it's back in there, so let me, hold on. Drafting on the fly here, 3.4. Just to confirm, the MOU language is now, this chapter shall not apply to an original equipment manufacturer that has entered into a memorandum of understanding that substantially incorporates the provisions of the chapter. In the event that a memorandum of understanding expires or is terminated, withdrawn, or canceled, the original equipment manufacturer shall be required to comply with all provisions of this chapter no later than 30 days upon such termination, withdrawal, cancellation, or expiration. So that's exactly as it was in 3.2. And Mr. Chair, that's the only other change I made since the last version I wanted.
Yeah.
I can highlight anything else you want to look at.
Any other questions for Rick? Anything?
None of the chiefs.
What about? Wasn't there a part in this thing about lawsuits and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, if you go back to page 10, Rick.
Yep.
I still have some, I thought, concerns about dragging Title IX into this with a private right of action. And to me, it's pretty clear there that it says it's fair to both parties. And you can argue what's fair and what's not fair all day long until a judge sits and decides. So I think I'm not comfortable with that at all.
What lines are we talking about?
1 through 4,
I'm sorry, what page?
10.
So subsection A, you're speaking of 4053, right? Attorney General Enforcement and notice.
No, before that. That's
It's right before that.
first 4 lines on the page, maybe your lines are different.
Yeah, I said that changed it. So-
It's just these 4 lines beforehand.
Oh, to be fair, okay, that is fair to both parties.
Right, it's a cost.
So we're talking about cost limitations. An OEM shall offer for sale otherwise configurable parts, tools, documentation. To an independent repair provider at or not at cost that is fair to both parties. Okay. So what's the Senator, what's the,
Well, again, we haven't talked about the potential impact of including this in terms of the likelihood that there'll be litigation arising out of it if the two parties don't agree to what's fair and reasonable.
Right.
I still think there's so many questions that we have.
Rick, why is that saying draft 3.4 up there and we have 3?
just so that made the change to the MOU
Swapped
language.
out in Colorado language just now.
Also, you
Yeah.
switched draft.
Yeah. Yeah, not doing anything unseemly, just wanna,
No, I just was,
I just did that. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So on page 10, Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
So you have to modify line 20 then too to say something.
Well,
right?
yeah, I didn't,
You're gonna figure this out, you kind of looks at hanging
sure.
at cost or something like that.
I mean, I'm fine with that too. As I said, I have a lot of questions remaining. This can't, for me, be the final version of this bill.
Right.
If I vote, yeah, I just can't.
Well, tell us what change you want here, so, you know,
Just delete it.
okay, but this,
I think you need
This has to
12
be-
pages.
there we go. I just wanna make sure I know what C is gonna read if we delete, I'm fine with deleting 1 and 2, I just wanna make sure it's grammatically sensible, because Rick's making this work on the fly.
is lines, right?
Well, to the runner of your point, if you go back to page 9 and take the last 3 lines of that, that's where, because there's a colon at the end of the sentence there, so you can strike 18, 19, 20 on that page, and then 1 through 4 on page 10.
So yeah, you could do that. Just thinking the consequences, I think they would still have to make the parts tools documents available. There just wouldn't be any guidelines on the price, so theoretically, they could charge an exorbitant amount, they probably wouldn't. But this would regulate, how much they could charge. So that's up to the committee, if you wanna remove that. That's not gonna make the bill not work, that would just remove that. Got it.
And, what, Nettie?
It can help.
Right. Larry? take-
Oh, I like it as it is, but I'm clearly in the minority here, so I wanna address all the questions. I don't want there to be complaints about our questions weren't answered, so if that answers your question, let's answer it.
So you got 3 lines and then
4 lines.
Subsection C
all
basically,
that.
and then 1 and 2.
Right.
Is this? We know that. This all gonna have to be renegotiated. With the health, I'm sure that, we made enough changes, I think. So they probably just hop on the wagon. Any other changes?
Love to see a final draft from Rick.
So on page 7, I don't know that we came to a final decision about at the top there in the sub C, original equipment manufacturing American Farm Bureau Federation or similar organization that advocates on behalf of farmers. And I see some representatives of the logging industry here. Did we ever talk about a way to put them in? Or did we just decide whether that's gonna go with the farmers and not worry about the logging industry?
Oh, yeah, we could add more loggers,
Just a
that's right,
question.
that's a great point, on 3, we could say we're loggers, right?
What,
Expand that.
what loggers are you gonna have?
I don't know.
Well, a similar organization, so it says a similar organization that advocates on behalf of farmers or loggers, and then if there's an American Loggers Federation, then that would fit, right? Because they'd be similarly sized, similarly powerful.
Right.
So I like adding loggers if that works for people.
Well,
And then 3,
it would certainly help.
I mean, that's the whole point of the
If there
bill.
was ever a question about, well, you're a logger and you're not, your name isn't even mentioned.
Yeah, no, I wanna be more inclusive here.
So add our loggers.
Well, we've got a couple here.
Whether they keep it.
Did you guys have an opinion on that?
Well, there are more than just loggers in the industries, forestry professionals, forestry businesses, forestry associations.
Well, but they advocate on behalf of loggers, don't they?
Yes.
Okay.
Our association, 40% of my membership are loggers. But we have mills and we have
Okay.
foresters and landowners, they all have equipment.
So farmers is broad and you're saying loggers isn't as broad, so it should be something about forestry professionals.
Well, Dana's here, what would you recommend?
So 2 things, the logging contractors might owns the equipment. So forestry professionals not gonna own the equipment, it's a logging company that owns the equipment, so let's just be specific about who owns the equipment. Number 2, there is the American Loggers Council who represents 40 states in the United States that have logging trade associations, so
So,
there is a national organization that we belong to that represents only the logging contractor, and I think that's what this is specific to.
so is just adding the word loggers uncovered or?
It would,
Would there be any unintended consequences by adding?
Are we expanding this
Yeah,
scope? That's
it's
what I'm
just a
wondering.
question.
We wanna
Yeah.
get past farmers, right? We just heard that farmers is. not-
We've already got the augers all the way through the bill,
These are just MOUs.
Yeah,
As a reminder.
logging equipment.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah, these are the MUs, not,
Okay.
yeah, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, we're not really expanding, we're just expanding the MOU definition. So we're not expanding the bill necessarily.
Where we're explaining out who's covered, you know,
That's a good catch.
it would be clear. Clear. So,
You gotta separate the equipment, which is covers loggers, farmers, and then you have MOUs, which are groups of people in occupations typically, so it's. You can add loggers here, if that's acceptable to.
any other comment from the committee?
That's good.
So you wanna make those changes, Rick?
Sure.
Guess we got
I think yours did.
just,
You make copies
some
of
of
it
them,
for us,
some of them, yeah.
okay.
just a couple there.
Yeah.
And, is that something
I can do it right now, it's not.
you'll do it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wanted to, you know, we got loggers in here with us and see if they've got anything they want to add or want to. All right. Yeah.
I'll
so
take
we'll
your
figure it
email,
out.
Linda, yeah.
Thank you. Rick.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
So, we got Dana and Ed here. You both represent some logging operations. Did you have anything you wanted to add or talk about in the bill? You could.
And the right repair? No, sir.
How about right to repair and fire?
It's up to you.
And log.
Dana?
Go ahead.
Nothing more than my previous testimony that I already provided to the committee. I mean, you had my testimony from about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I would say we're still consistent with that message.
Yeah.
So.
So anyways, we'll see, how that goes and we talk about getting one of the bills out of here, so I'd be
Oh,
on
yeah.
notice Tuesday and,
September.
these guys might be interested in timber custom hats. I don't, Dana, if you're up on that one or been watching or following, but
Somewhat I've been watching it, yes.
yeah, and so we basically have that ready to go. And so there Irene, do you have a comment?
No, I'm good, I'm happy with it, I'll just get the sheet that I need when I wrote it out.
So I'm trying to get the version that we.
Do you want a copy of the final version?
No, you could. You can even just.
Oh, I think we got it.
Oh, you are. Right on.
Well,
Does anyone else need one? You could have one.
you were in
It's
the
still
big
1.2,
bucks
right?
like Linda, but you know, you.
For the 1.2.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
I
you
think
very
we
much.
finalized it the other day, it's just we didn't wanna vote on it yesterday for timing reasons.
This is the same that you saw.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah, so, I thought we had this ready to go. And
I think.
Timing for,
we could kind of thumb through it and see if there's anything that jumps out at us. So the second offense of somebody doing a timber trespass now will become a felony. And I think, I did talk to Senator Sears and did we pick 2 or 3? Did 3 years? 3, right? And, so I think we were good on that.
I want to make sure.
Then Then the bonding is the issue.
And the surety things, that was key here. And we took out seizure, so. Good. I make a motion, I do want to entertain one.
Yeah, I think everybody's good.
I don't rush anybody first.
You good? Yeah, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian has my-
I would move that we, ask to fill out H 614.
614, draft
1.2.
1.2. Favor, thank you, on the script that part.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right. Ready to vote?
Roll call.
Senator Campion,
Yes.
Alomar,
Yes.
Westman. Yes. Renner, yes. Bobby?
Yes,
Thank you.
so 5-0 vote and
Nice vote.
Rich will be the reporter, of course. And, so, so there's,
Thank you.
I guess, Rich, would you have to take it up or?
You do, I'll get a clean copy,
Yeah, it should
be a clean
copy. I have to sign.
but you have to take, yes.
So
That's a relief.
then we, so we still got, our, bill that, our miscellaneous, you know, we're pretty good with that. That bill will be that. And, the farmers are. It's actually for calling and they got it to that. And, on the right to farm.
Oh, yeah?
And I didn't know that. I mean, it's late in the game, but I didn't know if we could shorten that up in some fashion. And put it on that miscellaneous bill. Was, now I want to talk to you guys about what you thought about doing. I know Brian. My mother is the business for big thing, but he's gonna need some votes on the.
There you go.
I don't know why I do.
Somebody got it.
So Michael has that old language for us, right?
Yeah, and I haven't talked to Michael about that, but it just seems that I thought today was gonna be it for us, other than if we, would have an hour each morning to do odds and ends, but then at our church meeting.
Right, so we're all next week, right, Senator Stark? He said, like, it's the following week, it's just a morning, an hour. So we have all next week.
And then it's over, because the following week, I
I was surprised by that.
was too, and I mean, I don't know where the mix up or.
Oh, the change, right? They just changed plans. Probably too many bells and whistles.
Well, Ashley and Bill, I think, got their wires crossed something like that.
Oh.
Is that right?
Yeah, okay.
And Ashley had,
Hey, whoa. I can keep.
I'm just running the back, yeah.
hear his phone ring.
Hey, you know what you do right for?
You heard mine ring, didn't you?
I think I should take yours today and leave it on the floor. Then they'll all be looking at you, they won't be able to figure out who.
It's already.
I think you just ought to take it, put it underneath the lieutenant governor's vote.
Oh,
So different.
And then the bad guy Russ thought he had it shut off.
No.
God. That thing.
You're
it was
leaving your
so-
mark.
It was so good before all this stuff came along.
Yeah.
Grab see, right?
Linda, I emailed you the 3.4.
Pardon?
I emailed you 3.4.
Okay.
Um,
Mr. Chair, if I start going through what I did, or do you want to have a hard copy first?
No, you can show it
Okay.
right on the screen.
Okay, so just a few changes. They're not highlighted, the clean copy, I'll point it out. No changes to the findings. The first change was adding loggers to the MOU language.
Yeah.
Between the OEM, let me read the whole definition. A memorandum of understanding means an agreement that is related to the right of repair of agricultural or forestry equipment, not legally binding, and between the original equipment manufacturer and the American Farm Bureau Federation or similar organization that advocates on behalf of farmers or loggers. That's change number one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate all
Thank you
your
all.
time.
Good luck to you.
All right, change number two is down subsection C, the cost limitations is gone. It was right here. The requirement that it be fair to both parties, that's been stricken.
I think it's struck.
Strucken. One of those.
Stuck it.
Stuck in. And the last change, you already saw it, was the MOU language going back to the original.
Yeah.
MOU language.
Yeah.
No other changes were made from 3.3.
And that effective date was changed a while ago, right? It's highlighted on one of these copies, but that's.
Yeah, that was last time.
26
Yes.
Or what, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So are there any other questions on this?
Well, were we gonna seriously take up the right to farm and put some provisions in here?
Well, we have to get Mike, is Michael scheduled in today? and all?
No, he's scheduled for Tuesday.
Is this the miscellaneous? Did we need to check with Pepper?
He's supposed to. Yeah, we aren't gonna do anything with that bill today.
Did he want to add that to miscellaneous?
Well, he was gonna try to pepper from
Ken,
camps. He was gonna try to get his changes added somewhere else this morning, but if that, he talked to me last night about if that doesn't work, you know, the part about using the old barns to
Oh,
dry
yeah.
stuff in without having to put sprinklers
Yeah.
and all that.
And if a farmer had a couple fields, but there was land in between, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it worked
well, that could go.
a long time.
Right.
And they still haven't gotten it in next door or where he's been trying to get it put away, and I told her, I said, I'll hang on to our miscellaneous bill until Tuesday, but, you know, we gotta get that out pretty soon. And, so I'd like to wait until Tuesday on that, that's at least. And, cause we don't want 2 or 3 bills coming up the same day. You know, one a day or then you're pressing your luck. But if we do the one we just done, do that one Tuesday. we'll have one go on notice Tuesday. And that would come up Thursday, and the other one go on notice Wednesday, that would come up Friday. You know, we aren't stealing all the time on the floor and spreading it out for us as well, so. So we'll keep that note, you know, on there. So we'll have to find Pepper,
I'll text him right now and see.
see how he's doing. And, so anything else for Rick from any of you folks?
Good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So Dana, do you have anything to offer the committee, or you're just trying to catch your breath from the trip?
Well, I just want to congratulate you on your career, Senator, so, no, I'm catching my breath, but just trying to get up to speed on a few things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's, kind of hectic around here now, and we got the budget done yesterday, I guess it was. And, got a little something in there for the logging industry.
Thank you.
And, of course, some people didn't get everything they wanted, but we spent all that we could find that we had to spend. Even spent some projected money, right, Rick?
Yeah,
Spent a lot of projected.
$70 million.
They, the people that can't count but do count for stuff, they, are projecting that, the eclipse money is gonna be millions of dollars in, you know, sales tax and rooms and meals tax and food tax and all that. So the budget, or the revenues got projected out to the end of the year. I don't know, our contingency funds are full, reserve funds are full,
Oh,
yeah,
actually, after that, secondly, the IJA is matched for next year. We'd be prepaid, you know, there were 25 and 16, so that's, you know, that's
yeah,
very.
we paid,
That's nearly 40 million of his prepaid bills for next year, which would give us a jump, so.
That leverages.
it's quite a bit, and the 25 million.
25 is that transportation.
Transportation, we put 12 in,
What's the,
it
is
was,
it 5-1?
oh, that's 50-50. 12
We
in.
put 25 into the IJA.
Or, yeah. Oh,
And that's
so
80
that's
20.
That'll be 50, there's, well, anytime, you know, anytime you guys wanna swap $1 for 2, I'll sit here all day. Want to swap?
Well, but I love that leverage.
I like it when I put 20 cents in and get 80 cents.
Yes.
Oh, that's even better. But anyway, so, I don't know, well, you haven't heard that or something.
Then we just take a break?
Yeah, we may as well, and,
No, I texted him and said, do you need something in the miscellaneous ag bill? I heard it.
well, why don't we take 10, 15 minutes?
Okay.
So you guys that are lobbying, the right to repair bill, or you still breathing, or
Fairly, yes.
barely breathing?